love lives here.
So, now on to the talk. I think the title on the screen says, Enough, which kind of says something different than enough. No, it's enough is something I yell at my dog, that one of her nicknames is the Barkinator. So we've been working with this book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, while Rev Jeff has been on sabbatical. As I mentioned, he'll be back. If you're on Facebook, you've seen he and Ed made it all the way up to Camp Cedar Ridge and got to hang out with Casey Wilson. You may remember her and her husband Wayne. They were here for a few years and went through prac studies with us. So it was good to see them. And of course, they went to the labyrinth that Mike and I helped build, so that was fun. So this week's commitment, the 12th, as we said, is enough. How many of you have ever had the feeling of lack or scarcity? You can raise your hand or wave at me. Oh, we have two hands over here. Everybody now? No, never, ever. Some of you are like, nope, never have felt that. Well, bless you. But we can feel lack of resources, scarcity of friends, of love, of intimacy, you name it. We can probably feel that we've had a sense of lack about that. Or sometimes it's just a feeling of not enoughness. It looks, because so many people were nodding and waving, and it seems like it's part of the human condition, but here's a foreshadowing of the rest of my talk. It doesn't have to be. So let's yay that. The authors of the 15 commitments call these scarcity beliefs. And sad to say, we've been taught them since we were young by our parents, our schools, and society. My parents were depression kids. They certainly experienced lack in their lives and witnessed it in society as a whole. This was evident in their stories and sayings. My dad used to talk about the time he was a kid and he decided to go to the movies. He took his money out of his pocket and glanced at it and thought he had enough to get on the trolley, go downtown, see the movie, buy some popcorn, and ride the trolley back. And so he was so confident he had enough money that he didn't bother to return his last pop bottle. Remember back in the day, they were glass and you took them back? Yeah. So, he was feeling flush at the time. He had like 25 cents. So that's why he couldn't be bothered turning in his pop bottle. But long story short, as you could probably imagine, he didn't have enough for the trolley ride home. So he had to walk. And of course, it was uphill all the way during a heat wave with a snowstorm. Times were tough then. As for my mom, she used to say, money may not be everything, but it's way ahead of whatever's in second place. I never liked that saying, but it was years before I could figure out that I am personally not really motivated by money. So that never sat well with me. Lynn Twist, an expert on scarcity and abundance, says, this mantra of not enoughness carries the day and becomes a kind of default setting for our thinking about everything and grows into the great justification for an unfulfilled life. It becomes the reason we can't have what we want or be who we want to be. It becomes the reason we can't accomplish the goals we set for ourselves, the reason our dreams can't come true, or the reason other people disappoint us, the reason we compromise our integrity and give up on ourselves and write off others. I see heads nodding, so apparently this rings true for some of you. We could go on talking about lack and scarcity. The stories about these are all too prevalent. Instead, I encourage you to look at your own life and experiences. Are you living from the belief that you don't have enough or you aren't enough? Twist says there are 3 major myths associated with lack. The first one is there's never enough. We get the slide up there? Cool. Thank you, Stu. The worst thing about this myth is that it never allows us to arrive. We're always chasing for more. Second one is more is better. The worst thing about this myth is that it never allows us to arrive. We're always chasing more, and I got that mixed up with the other one. The worst thing about the first one is that it generates fear and drives us into competition that we make sure we're not the ones left out. Now the third one, it's a hopeless, helpless, unequal, unfair world that we can never change or escape. Twist says this is the most challenging of these myths because the less willing people are to question their beliefs about scarcity, the more entrenched the culture of scarcity becomes. In our philosophy, we call this victim thinking. And I hope as good practitioners, yes, you are all practitioners, just some of you aren't licensed, stay as far away from that kind of thinking as you can. And what is at the root of this negative thinking? It's pretty simple. Comparison. Think about it. There's never enough. Compared to what? More is better. More than what? It's a hopeless, helpless, unequal, unfair world. Again, compared to what? Consider these wise words. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And one of my favorite writers, Mark Twain, thought even worse of it. Comparison is the death of joy. Let's pause for a moment and check in. When you're feeling lack, to whom do you compare yourself? Neighbors? Friends? Family members? Co-workers? People in the news? Consider how you judge yourself when it comes to comparisons. Are you better or less than? Do you have more or fewer resources? And what beliefs come up for you around this kind of thinking? And coming back. Unraveling scarcity beliefs begins as we adopt a different reference point. Taking a global perspective, we can acknowledge that if it weren't for politics and greed, there is enough for all of us. There is enough. When we change our beliefs to those of sufficiency, when we believe we are enough and have enough of everything we need, our experience changes. You know, change your thinking, change your life. Does it sound familiar? And what we think about, we bring about. Okay, a couple of basic teachings there. When I was challenged by thinking I wasn't enough, when I was working on my master's degree, I was seeing ads for this ring that said, "I am enough." I saw these ads go by many, many times, and I procrastinated. I thought, yeah, that's really cool. I should get one. And finally, I broke down, and I did. I am happy to report that I no longer need it, so I was able to pass it to a friend who is currently kind of doubting her own enoughness. So let's go into meditation for a moment to see how to move from scarcity to abundance. So closing your eyes or finding a gaze point in front of you. Settling into your seats. Taking a deep breath. Releasing any mental handles you're clinging to. Take some more deep breaths. Check in to see what your experience is right now. Notice the air moving in and out of your lungs. Notice that the breath sustains you. Notice that there is enough. Taking another breath. Bring your attention to your whole body. Pay attention to any sensations you might be experiencing. Notice what they are. Take another breath. Now consider your experience of time. Notice there is no past and no future. There is only now. The past is behind. The future is ahead. In this now moment, what is your experience with time? Notice how the edges of time begin to blur as now refreshes itself with each moment. Always now. Check to see in this moment if you have enough time. Now, take a moment to bring to mind anything that you believe in your life is scarce, that you lack. But really, in this moment, is anything missing, or do you have everything you need? Notice that when you are fully in the now moment, you have all that you need. Recognize that to experience lack, your mind must be focused outside yourself and in the past or the future. Relax and breathe, knowing that right here and right now, you have everything you need. And now coming back into this room. How was that? Is that good? I hope this talk and that meditation have helped you see that the belief and experience of sufficiency, of abundance, or even opulence creates a profound shift in our relationship with ourselves, others, and with life in general. When we shift to living life in the moment, and from that place of deep within that knows we have enough, we affect change for ourselves and for others as well because of the peace we engender by knowing that for ourselves. If you are feeling lack or scarcity, you're living from your head and not your heart, and you're existing someplace other than the present. But now you know how to change that. So let's say the commitment together. Ready? I commit to experiencing that I have enough of everything, including time, money, love, energy, space, resources, etc. I now invite our practitioners, as thin as the core may be, to surround the sanctuary as best you can, and core council as well. God is spirit. Spirit is supply. I am surrounded by this spirit that supplies without ceasing. My thought is God thought. It provides me with all that I need, a sufficiency beyond my wildest imagination. The divine cannot lack for anything, and as I am one with it, neither can I. Everything I do is a success. I am led, guided, and inspired by the living spirit of love and of right action. With God as my substance and supply, I move in the right direction, always knowing what to do and where and how to do it. I accept this as true for me, and I claim this as true for all, recognizing and knowing this spirit of source and supply. I see that each person here has an abundance of whatever it takes to make their lives happy and abundant, even opulent. There is continuous movement toward all that is needed to express the fullest life. Each person is unique. The divine is not incarnated in anyone else in just the same individual way. There is no need for imitation, competition, or comparison. All good is given to those who believe this claim. I give great high thanks for knowing this truth about the divine, myself, and everyone else. I release my word into the creative medium, knowing that it is already done. I let it be. And together, we who share in the consciousness of the one mind say together, and so it is.